Hey there, and thanks for joining me for another episode of Total Ramblings. We have kind of an unboxing today. Well, I don't know why I said kind of an unboxing. It is an unboxing. This is a video unboxing History of the Daleks number 18. Now look, I realise that this is incredibly late in the day, right? These sets have been out for a few months now. But the thing is, so these are B&M exclusives. If you're watching from abroad, B&M is like a discount kind of supermarket chain. They usually have quite a big sort of toy section. And they actually have a deal where they have exclusive Doctor Who sets released 2 or 3 times a year. And for the last few years, they've been releasing 2 or 3 History of the Daleks sets. This is History of the Daleks set number 18. And these History of the Daleks sets have essentially had 1 or 2 Daleks in. Sometimes there's a figure, so the 5 Doctors set had a figure, but basically it's like a chronological, broadcast order of Daleks from Doctor Who. So we started off with the Daleks. We had 2 regular Daleks, then we had Dalek Invasion of Earth, then we had The Chase, etc, etc, etc. Daleks from every single Doctor Who story, because not all Daleks are the same. We have different ranks of Daleks, we have different colour schemes of Daleks. So for example, this is a Dalek drone, this is the Dalek Supreme. Now this particular set is History of the Daleks set number 18 and is from a story called Resurrection of the Daleks from 1984. This was a story that I watched live when it went out. It starred Peter Davison as the 5th Doctor. And unusually for the time, it was a 4-part Doctor Who story, and on the original broadcast it was split into 2 kind of feature-length episodes. I believe they were working around the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics broadcast timetable. I seem to recall that was why it happened like that. Anyway, it was an interesting kind of experiment for the BBC, because with the next series of Doctor Who, the first series with Colin Baker, they went to 50-minute episodes as standard. Anyway, these sets are made by character, but they are exclusively released in B&M stores. Now, here's the point I was trying to make before I went off on that massive diversion. I've got 2 B&M stores in Basingstoke, where I live. One of them is literally half a mile away from my house. The other one is a couple of miles away from my house. They are the worst B&M stores in the country. They never stock these. I've gone many times to look when new releases have come out. You know, I've left my phone number with people, like members of staff. I actually have a suspicion. So there are documented incidents of members of staff from B&M basically intercepting these pallets of Doctor Who figures, buying the lot and then essentially selling them on eBay for double the price. And many, many, many times, so I guess I'm part of the problem, right? I've ended up buying these off of eBay because I can't get them in the store. I happened to be randomly in the store yesterday and these 2 sets were here. Now I'll explain why I've apparently bought 2 of the same set in a minute. They are not the same, and I will explain why. When this set came out, there was also another set of Emperor Davros from the story Remembrance of the Daleks. Essentially, these sets are not... so this set is... we've already had like History of the Daleks 19, I think, and everyone was like, where was set 18? And they've kind of gone back to do it. And I think they were reluctant to kind of do more drone Daleks, because basically this colour of like grey and black drone sort of Dalek, they appeared in several Doctor Who stories and all a bit samey, you know, so I think they were reluctant to kind of release more grey Daleks, so they went to History of the Daleks number 19, which has Imperial Daleks, which are white and gold, just to kind of break it up a little bit. Anyway, there was a Davros that came out with this, that wasn't in the store. And then most recently, some more character options sets have come out with some Doctor Who figures. And I probably won't see those for months either. So basically, this is a little bit of a pointless kind of unboxing, because you'll have seen hundreds of these if you're a Doctor Who fan, if you're a character options fan, if you're collecting these. You'll have seen these unboxings many times. But the fact is, I was able to find these in the store. Now, as I say, they are not quite the same. This is deliberate. You'll notice here the mesh behind these power slats on this Dalek is just like a regular grey colour. This is the variant. The mesh is silver. Now, this is not a mistake. It is not a different production run. It is actually quite deliberate, because what happened was, in the Doctor Who story Resurrection of the Daleks, let me put this one at the front for a change. In the Doctor Who story Resurrection of the Dalek props, many of which were the original Dalek props from 1963, had been bashed around, repainted, tops and bottoms mixed and matched so many times, repaired. Basically, they were in a bit of a state. In the previous Doctor Who story, Destiny of the Daleks, no two Daleks look the same. They were completely bashed up. Now, you can kind of retcon that, because in Destiny of the Daleks are losing a war. They're on the back foot with the Movellans, and I kind of retcon their appearance by sort of, thinking that maybe they were pulled from different units, and, this is why their coloration is different. In Resurrection of the Daleks, they're a little bit tidier. But essentially, you end up with Daleks with slightly different paint schemes. And so there is a particular scene, where you see two supposedly identical Daleks, and one indeed has a silver mesh and one indeed has a grey mesh. So this is deliberate. So if you're going to ask me which one of these is screen accurate, the answer is yes. They both are. And this is a deliberate feature. Anyway, let's have a look, shall we? So we've got, featuring one Supreme Dalek. He doesn't change between the two sets. One grey Dalek, one grey drone Dalek. These are 5.5 inch, 14 centimetre scale collector series. It's the 5th Doctor. We've got this here, and we've got a sort of time vortexy sort of pattern behind. Very nice box, very substantial box, nice cardboard. That's what we get on the side. That's what we get on the top. That's what we get on the other side. That is the blurby bottom. And here is the back. So let me read this to you. History of the Daleks, number 18, collector figure set, Resurrection of the Daleks, 1984. On Earth, a group of humanoids from the future are gunned down by policemen. 2 escape, and 1 is killed, leaving the other, Stein, alone and looking for a hidden time corridor. The policemen are Dalek troopers who return via the time corridor to a Dalek battlecruiser in deep space, where they attack a space station to release Davros from his cryogenic prison. Meanwhile, the TARDIS is dragged into the same time corridor, and to escape they materialise on Earth, in London. Wandering off, Turlough stumbles into the time corridor himself and is transported to the Dalek ship, where he finds the remains of the prison crew and tells them there is a way to escape. Back on Earth, the Doctor and Tegan are attacked by a rogue Dalek and dispatch it with the help of some Earth soldiers. The Doctor decides Daleks on Earth with time technology is a bad situation, and after finding Stein, decides to help him and to find Turlough by tracking the Dalek ship back along the time corridor. Davros, once revived, is told the war with the Movellans is long over and the Daleks were annihilated by a Movellan virus. He vows to stay on board and work on the cure while secretly converting Daleks to his cause rather than the Dalek Supreme. A capsule of virus stored on Earth is brought on board, but unknown to anyone, the remaining crew are now out to blow up the space station, and Davros with it. Once on board, the Doctor is captured by the Daleks, helped by Stein, who is revealed as a Dalek agent. The Daleks plan to duplicate the captured Doctor and send him back to Gallifrey to destroy the Time Lords and hand over all their technology. The Doctor resists being duplicated, realising that the process is unstable, and persuades Stein to resist also. The Doctor then sets off with troopers to find and kill Davros, but Stein runs off, unable to cope with the turmoil in his mind. Meanwhile, the plan to blow up the station fails, as does the Doctor's intention to kill Davros, as he cannot act against his nature and just kill. Davros is confronted by 2 Daleks sent to kill him, and he releases the virus upon them. The Doctor leaves for Earth and arrives back at the warehouse in the middle of a pitched battle between Davros's Daleks and those of the Supreme Dalek. The Doctor releases a canister of Mavellan virus, killing all the Daleks, but the toll has been too heavy for some. The commander of the Dalek troopers, Lytton, escapes and Tegan decides to leave the TARDIS and the Doctor. Thinking he has won on board the ship, Davros suddenly seems to succumb to the Mavellan virus just as Stein finds and restarts the paused self-destruct sequence. The Doctor leaves sadly in the TARDIS as both the station and Dalek ship are blown to atoms. There you go. That's a very comprehensive summary. We're going to open this now. We're going to open them both because why not? Okay, so using my trusty Swiss Army knife, of which I have many. This is not a sponsored thing, but if the Victorinox company wishes to sponsor me, I would not say no. It just slides out of there. Goodbye box. And we have the inner box with this sort of time vortexy Doctor Who opening sort of effect on it. So I'm just going to cut this tape. What I do appreciate is that there's no sort of outer window of plastic, so they are clearly trying to cut down on the plastic. However, as you will now see, we got this big plastic bubble here. Now, in the past, they used to have some nice sort of images behind, kind of like sort of diorama pictures that you could sort of pose your Daleks in. They've stopped doing that now. I don't mind because I never kept the packaging anyway. This packaging is going straight in the bin. I bought these yesterday and I pointed out to the guy at the till who didn't really care that in fact they were different, and he said, they'll be worth a fortune in the future, and I'm like, well, I don't sell them, I just open them. So okay, goodbye box. Right, all of the articulation on these Daleks is going to be the same, but I'm just going to go give you an example. So this is the Dalek Supreme from Resurrection of the Daleks. Now, this Dalek was particularly insane. I believe in the original series, they used the oddball casing for this particular Dalek, which you can't really see. But basically, there was an odd casing where the back angle came out at a weird kind of shape. It was used in exhibitions, it was repainted several times, and I believe that's the one they used. Thankfully, they haven't recreated that because that's not a proper Dalek, and it was just kind of like a weird design that somehow crept into the series. There was also a story with like a thinner Dalek to get through a door, but that was just for production convenience. Anyway, look, the dome rotates, okay? The eye stalk goes up and down, the manipulator arm goes round and round, and the gun stick goes round and round. It's going to be the same for all of these Daleks. They have a rotating wheel on the bottom, and they have two static wheels back here. Okay, these are made in Copenhagen, where I used to work. Beautiful, beautiful gloss colour scheme on this Dalek. Kind of like dulled down sort of dome lights here. Beautiful gloss here on the neck rings. There's a mesh behind there. These are the power slats with the rivets on, and you can see we've got a silver mesh behind. As with all these sort of character options, there's a little break here in the plastic, which is part of the moulding sort of process, because I think this whole section is kind of set in, and also like a mould line at the back here. Beautiful glossy skirt section with white domes. I think this is a very striking Dalek, clearly some kind of commander. So in Doctor Who sort of history, a black Dalek normally denotes one that's in charge. In this particular case, this is the Supreme Dalek of what is left of the Dalek forces at the time, although of course they bounce back. The manipulator arm, it doesn't extend, it's gloss black. And the gun stick has a lovely red thing at the end to kind of, there's kind of like these sort of like red fingers that go in and out when these particular Daleks fire their guns, which we saw in a few stories, and that's kind of reflective of that. And black oval in the middle there. And that's our Supreme Dalek. He's got a little iris there in the middle of his eye, and he looks Fabulous. Amazing. Also, we've got some weathering effects here on the base, which looks quite nice. Don't know if you can see that well on camera, but you can see here it's kind of like scratched up a little bit. So yeah, that's our Supreme Dalek. Now, I'm not going to go through the articulation. Here is our drone. This is the one with the silver mesh. Again, kind of dulled down sort of lights here. Let me have a look. The eye stalk is identical. So not all Dalek eye stalks are the same. They have kind of varying numbers of sort of rings and sort of patterns of rings, depending on which story they're from. And that's one of the things that people like to look at, is to make sure these are sort of accurate. So black oval there. He's got the red bit in there. We've got more weathering here on the base. This is possibly my favourite colour of Dalek. Although I am torn, but this is like your typical sort of army builder kind of Dalek. Yeah, so we've got like a little sort of dark grey bit underneath the bottom neck ring. But yeah, there we go. Now, I'm going to open this one now, because I open everything. I don't keep anything in boxes. Admittedly, I've got a large Lego backlog of things in boxes, but that's not because they're there for any kind of investment. I don't buy things for investment. I buy things to play with because I'm just a big child. So basically, they will be built. The fact is, I just haven't got around to them yet. So I don't keep toys in boxes. Toys are for playing with. Now, some people are going to say, well, you're losing value. I don't buy things for value. It's like, what annoys me, it's like people who like complain that their house has lost value. A house is not an investment. A house is a home. Have you maybe considered living in your house rather than just hoping it will appreciate in value? You know, it's just, I just don't get over this. I can't get over this mentality. Anyway, there's another Supreme Dalek. So he's slightly superfluous because you'd only have one, but he's going to be the same. And in fact, the drone's going to be the same apart from the colour differences. So here's our other drone. Just kind of unstick him a little bit where he's... And you'll see the only difference here, oops, is the mesh. Grey mesh, silver mesh. Both accurate. Neither one should have any preference over the other. They both appear in the same Doctor Who story, in the same scene, at the same time, right next to each other, and they are both screen accurate. So, I'm going to say, better late than never. By the way, banana for scale. I'm going to try and remember to do that. Might not remember. Banana for scale. Those are the... Daleks from the History of the Daleks, set number 18, Resurrection of the Daleks. I finally got them. The reason I wasn't overly worried about getting these from eBay and paying double the price is that I already have these Daleks in earlier releases. We've got slightly different weathering and paint effects and things, so, you know, it's nice to have, but I already have representations of these Daleks in my collection. Just noticed. See that? A little bit of a paint chip there. You can see the plastic coming through. But that's okay, because we've got two of them. But yeah, it's nice to collect them. I said, look, if I see them in the shops, I'm going to get them. But I'm not going to go out of my way to get them off of eBay. Because literally, you get scalpers charging you twice as much for something that should be ready available in the shops and isn't, because B&M are a bit crap. There you go. It's nice of B&M to produce them anyway. I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. Mr. Banana, thanks you very much for watching. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, do all of the regular YouTube stuff. And I'd like to thank you very much for watching this episode of Total Ramblings, and I will see you next time. Bye!